Welcome back to another episode of In Systems We Trust. My name is Marquis. I'm your host, and I'm really excited for this chat today. My guest is Gray MacKenzie. Gray is from ZenPilot, and ZenPilot is an operations consultancy, and Gray is a nerd with a passion for helping digital agencies build healthy, productive, and profitable teams. Gray has built ZenPilot into ClickUp's largest and highest rated solutions partner and has spent the past decade helping over 2,700 agencies streamline their operations. Welcome to the show, Gray.
Thanks, Marquis. Excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you said yes. I mean, I have to admit, Gray, you'll probably remember this. I think you do, but I thought maybe you had forgotten. There were years ago when I had my marketing agency, I booked a call with you and I like secret shopped ZenPilot because I was so interested. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. You probably had me in your CRM or something, right?
I'm sure. What was I'm blanking on the name of the agency at the time though.
Media Crate was the
That's right. That's
marketing
right.
agency. Yeah.
Cool.
And so I was so interested in what you're doing at ZenPilot. Asana was my tool of choice, but I was really exploring really my purpose, what was unique about my offering at the time, where I really fit into it. And I started doing this like soul searching thing where I started to look and wanted to understand really what was my purpose, what was I bringing to the world, why would someone hire me? And I loved the model that ZenPilot had adopted. And I thought, how can I bring this into what I'm doing with Asana? And so I probably should have told you that at the time and just been honest with you, but I
Better late than
appreciate
never, right?
you. What's that?
Better late than never, right?
Better late than never. I mean, I'm sure you knew, but I appreciate you saying yes and coming on here. But if it isn't already clear, I mean, I want to thank you for helping me, really get started with my business at Ditto. And I'm a longtime listener of the Agency Journey podcast and really got a lot from you and Andrew. So again, good to have you
Awesome.
here.
That's awesome. Well, it's good to be
Yeah.
here.
Well, it's great. Well, let's pretend that I don't know anything about you or how your business goes because the listeners would definitely want to know what your journey has looked like over the years. Let's start with that. I mean, you've come from the place where you have brought ZenPilot to a place where you're the number one ClickUp consultancy. You've had quite the journey coming through SaaS founder and had some other offerings. Why don't you kind of talk through how you got your start and how you got to the place you're at right now?
Yeah, there's a long backstory like all of us have. Most of it is boring if you're not me. So I'll give you the spark notes. Feel free to push on anything that you want to, but kind of worked my way through college doing web design and web hosting. Initially started a web hosting business. That led to starting an agency with my business partner today, Andrew Dimsky. So we started from our college dorm room back in 2011. Ran the agency for a couple of years. We were early in the HubSpot ecosystem, one of the first couple hundred partners there. Our breakthrough was doing kind of these like marketing batch days every Wednesday. For the first half of the day, we'd shut down whatever else we were doing and everyone would just blog. And it took us about 9 months. We went to 15,000 site visits a month, and that kind of filled up our pipeline and was led to a lot of our growth. So at the time, we're the fastest partner to hit the gold tier in HubSpot's ecosystem. And as we grew that business and grew the team, struggled with all the common operations stuff that people run into. How do we actually, now that we're selling stuff repeatedly, how do we deliver on that high quality as we scale it? And we bounced around through all the different project management platforms out there, the Basecamps and Asanas and Teamworks and Podio and whatever else was out there. Didn't love any of them. Made the classic, we'll just go build our own. We're technical. So we built a platform called DoInbound, software product. Kind of made that. It was just kind of a side project. Built it for ourselves. Talked to agency owners at HubSpot's Inbound conference. Everyone was interested. We were like, we'll spin this out. Did it as a side project till beginning of 2015. And then we kind of took all our best people from the agency, from GuavaBox, which in retrospect, this is probably not the best move. Took all our best people, pushed them over to the DoInbound side. And we grew that business to a little over 500 customers, all agencies, and really even more niche than agencies, like primarily just HubSpot partners, other inbound agencies. And agencies who came in who had strong processes did great, loved the system, stayed on forever. And agencies who didn't churned out pretty quickly. And unfortunately, as you've experienced firsthand, that's the vast majority of agencies do not have strong processes.
Right.
That led us to doing process consulting to try to fix churn originally. And that wound up driving more revenue, obviously, than the software side, which makes sense. But was taking up 10, 15% of our time. It was the part that came easy. The software came pretty hard. And so we put a couple $1 million into developing up this software. The software itself had some differentiated features, but really in a lot of other areas, we were playing catch up with the other tools that were out there. And I remember Asana raising $70 million and being like, what are we doing
Yeah.
here? We're bootstrapping. We're pouring all this profit from our agency and pretty much everything that we're making here back into the software product for an industry that's extremely tech forward. Agencies they want to be on the cutting edge of whatever's out there. This
Yeah.
does not make sense. We either need to raise money and go hard and say, hey, we're a software company, or we need to go the other way and say, we are a training and consulting firm, and probably quit worrying about the software and do what people are loving us for. All our best case studies, all the clients who are having the most success on the software are our consulting clients. So we went through that identity crisis and wound up deciding to go the training consulting route. And so we, over the course of, I think we gave people a little over 2 years before we actually shut down the software, which in retrospect, we're losing money for like the last year and a half of that. Because most people left right away, but some people wanted to hang on until the end, and we didn't want to, upset anybody, and so wanted to hold out as long as we could. But we wound up shutting down the software. We wound up transitioning almost every. We went through, as we made that decision, we said, hey, if we're going to do training consulting, we still want to do it on top of one platform. What tool do we think is the best tool for most agencies? Let's pick that and specialize in a single tool that'll keep our delivery really simple. And every agency, nobody wants to go do the homework for themselves. A ton of agencies do. It's a huge waste of time. I'm going to go pour through 40 different tools and figure out whatever, and then hope that I make the best one while I'm also running an agency. That doesn't make a lot of sense. So we felt like we could bring a lot of value by just doing the homework for ourselves. And then being able to tell people, hey, if you've got these types in these situations, here's the best tool. And so we wound up going down that route. Chose ClickUp. Asana was number 2. Teamwork was number 3 at that time. And so anyways, we wound up transitioning a ton of people over to ClickUp. ClickUp was great. Was able to take some of the code and features that we'd built at ZenPilot and build that stuff in ClickUp, which was awesome. Built a custom importer so we could take people from DoInbound and push them into ClickUp. And then we spent the last 5 years kind of refining that offer, but building that out to where we're helping agencies streamline their ops, and primarily on top of ClickUp as the project management platform.
Got it. What was it that you were looking for at the time? I mean, you were building out your own solution. Like you said, you had vetted some of the other project management, work management tools. What was missing that you felt that you needed to go and develop yourself?
Really the template with all the repeatable work that was happening. The ability to template out, inbound marketing, we're running these campaigns. They're made up of a series of deliverables. Those are made up of a number of tasks. Each of those tasks have some set of subtasks. So this depth of hierarchy, and then the ability to build templates that were robust enough and you could deploy and say, hey, I want to have, if this is at the time, if you think back to 2013, 2014, almost all inbound marketing shops were running these retainers that were, hey, we're going to do 4 blog posts a month, and we're going to do an email a month, and whatever else. And we were running the same type of playbook originally. And that was really hard to take and plan out. And then if you made any changes, trying to reschedule stuff was a nightmare, and trying to easily bulk assign stuff and then get meaningful insights back off of, at a campaign level, back off of, where did our time go and what was happening was challenging. So that was the big piece. The second big piece was the integration of process into the workflow.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a million Google Docs with, here's our process. Nobody ever looks at them or reads them. And so that was one of the keys, was make the process live where the work gets done. That was behind the tool.
Okay. And did you start consulting with some of these agencies so that you could better prepare them to use your software, or were there 2 different offerings at the time?
No, it was all lumped. You had to buy the software to get the consulting, and the consulting was just a piece to try to actually make it stick for folks. So then we'd go in, look at their work, kind of advise them on here's what, and a ton of this was happening kind of just in our conversations for the first couple of years of DoInbound. I think a lot of people were actually buying it because of the GuavaBox name. HubSpot had
Yeah.
highlighted the GuavaBox case study in a lot of their marketing to partners or in a lot of their training to partners. Hey, here's someone who's figured out how to grow and sell our services, which is attractive to HubSpot, obviously, whether or not that was
Sure.
the right way to go. And so a lot of people wanted to tap into the processes that we'd figured out and developed in serving clients because of that. And so we'd been doing kind of just the free, hey, as we're talking naturally about the software, helping people through, here's how we think you ought to structure and how you ought to think about it. And what are the key metrics you should be measuring in your agency?
Yeah.
And then building that into a package, like a consulting package, when people were also buying software, was more effective for helping teams actually commit and make the full changes and get coaching along the way.
It's interesting. I love I mean, at the time, the really like holistic approach to software and consulting to help these folks. So let's fast forward to today then. So you're still consulting, you're helping teams get the most out of their ClickUp investment. Where are you finding that a lot of the problems are? And is it limited to ClickUp and building systems and templates and workflows in the tool? Because I know for, his name just came to my head, Marcel Petitpas
Right.
at Parakeeto, right? Like he's known for agency profitability and growth, right? Like what are some of the problems, I guess, that you're solving for these folks? Is it limited again to tool? Are there other areas? Let's talk through that a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you probably have the same framework, right? There's three main pieces that make this all work together. Like, actually, if I back up here a little, we teach all of our clients.
Sure.
The first thing for people to know is like how we think, and then secondly, how do we work? So in terms of how we think, we talk a lot about the 1-3-5 methodology, and the one is we're looking for clarity. We're trying to take teams from chaos to clarity, and clarity for
Yeah.
everyone. That means at the exact level, Marquis, you should know all the key metrics in your business. You should be able to look at, here's my account dashboard. I can see what clients might need some special attention and where things are going great, and I can get referrals and where are the risks in the business.
Mhm.
But then if you move down to the opposite end of the spectrum, the individual contributor, the freelancer, or whoever that end user is, like I need to know what's on my plate, in what prioritized order, how much time do I have to get that done, and how do I actually do the work. So if that's the end goal, the three pieces that we need to get there are obviously the technology is the one that we're all excited to look at first. That's why we build
Yeah.
DoInbound. It's like, why ClickUp versus Asana? Like, here's why Asana is better. Here's 11 reasons why ClickUp is better. Here's why you
Yeah.
should use teamwork.com. Here's,
Yeah.
we get so hung up on the technology, and it is a big piece, but that's like, that's kind of the last piece. The second one of the three key components is process. How do we actually do this? You talk about like, how do things get done here?
Yeah.
And that's the second big key. And then the third, obviously huge key, is the habits. What are the behaviors that the team actually employs? It doesn't matter how good the processes are and your tech is if nobody actually uses it. And
Yeah.
that's the tree falling in the woods when no one's around. And then, so I think each of those three pieces is absolutely crucial. A ton of our deal flow, because of being tightly associated with ClickUp, even though we work with teams who are initially not on ClickUp in a ton of cases, a lot of people find us for that technology piece, and then it's kind of the education that, hey, if you're actually going to create clarity for everyone, we need to become excellent in all three. We need to be technically excellent. We need to be procedurally excellent. We need to be behaviorally excellent as a team.
Right.
So that's kind of the like the thinking behind what we do, and then the teams that we're working with are coming in, and the first step is figuring out, what do you want, what's not working in the business right now, and kind of designing for that. So most of the time, that's around visibility. Well, that's capacity planning and forecasting,
Yeah.
or profitability and
Dashboards, like you
utilization.
mentioned.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just being able to see what is actually happening. How is delivery not a black box? What does client
Yeah.
health truly look like? So figuring that out. Sometimes it's, hey, we just want to get more efficient. Like, efficiency is the end result, is usually productivity, profitability. Those are the things that I'm after. Team health. Like, we're making money, but nobody's happy. So those are the three key pieces that it boils down to. But it usually gets expressed as either a function of visibility, lack of processes, which is again kind of back to lack of visibility. We don't actually know how we do all this.
Yeah.
And so then it's designing, how do we take, if we're using ClickUp, in this case, how do we take ClickUp and make the job as easy as possible?
Yeah.
But at the same time, what are all the other things that need to happen? What's the change management that needs to happen to improve your habits? And what are the processes that need to get built or need to get refined or changed or
Mhm.
thrown out the door in order to make this work better?
Yeah. And so when it comes to that clarity piece, I love that you start there. Who is your end user at that point? Are these the business leaders and the managers that are coming to you looking for visibility? Do you ever work with their teams that are, boots on the ground? Because I feel that there's often a divide, right?
Yep.
There's the leaders that come in and they think that they have a full understanding of the areas that need to be improved or where there are bottlenecks. But then when we interview the team members and the individual contributors, right, we find that it's so different, right? Like what they need to actually work isn't being provided. They don't have the clarity, and then the leaders don't have the visibility to understand where the help needs to be, applied. And
Yep.
so who are the people that you're speaking to? And then how do those conversations differ?
Yeah. It's great insight that you will always hear from a client services team. We call it delivery. I'm overstaffed, and you'll always hear from leadership team, or I'm sorry, we're understaffed, and you'll always hear from a leadership
Other
team.
way,
Yeah,
overstaffed.
we're overstaffed for sure. Like we're
Yeah,
not making
yeah,
enough money for the people that we have and
yeah.
what they're costing us. So, in terms of who we're speaking to, it's primarily business leaders. It's an agency
Mhm,
owner, it's a COO, it's a VP of ops, it's somebody in that seat we're sometimes director of project management,
mhm.
who's finding us. And I guess there's a little bit of a split. We are, you know, 85, 90% agencies. That's who we're focused on serving. That's who the bulk of our audience is. But just like with any niched service offering, there's other people who find their way in, and so there's
Yeah.
teams and a lot of in-house marketing teams who view themselves as an agency. Like LegalZoom's probably a good recent example of a great client with an awesome in-house marketing team. They view themselves as an internal agency.
Mm,
Um, but measuring profitability is less of a concern for them than it would be for an agency. So there's a couple of things that are different. And so in that case, that's a marketing leader who's finding us and working with us. But most of the time,
got
it's
it.
the business leadership. We do an agency operations benchmark with every team that we work with. So every single person on the team will take it, and that is really helpful to get all those issues out on the table. And
Mhm.
then the power of the benchmark and being able to say, hey, here's the answers from a couple thousand teams who have gone through this.
Yeah.
Um, your issues are very much not unique. And
Yeah.
also there's some validity because we've been down this road a bunch of times where, hey, what your people are saying, here's the pieces that are very likely in your setup to be true. And you
Mhm.
do actually need to take those seriously. Here's the pieces that, based on the results here, these may not be true. And same thing from your side as the business owner. Here's the stuff
Yeah.
that you really are correct. You cannot see what's going on and your team's not giving you what you need.
Yeah.
Um, that's a systematic thing. That's every system gets the outcome that it's designed to get. So that's a systematic problem. Um, but yeah, that's been a helpful tool to kind of get a 360 view of what's truly going on in the agency.
Fair. I want to get to number two, process, but before we do, I mean, something you just said there made me think, like, you've been doing this so long, you've heard everything. Business leaders will think that their problems are unique, and we'll hear that as well. Well, in our industry, it's like this, and it's a little bit different. And no, they're really not. A lot of the problems, a lot of the issues we come up against are the same. And so, for you, are you still involved in the sales primarily, or do you have a sales team?
No, I'm pretty much out of the day to day
Okay.
sales right now. Yep.
Okay, fair enough. Would you have custom tailored services in your delivery then for each of those pain points that a prospect might exhibit or communicate to you?
Yeah, it's an interesting mix of custom and productized. So
Okay.
when teams work with us, everyone will go through our blueprint as the first phase. And it's basically the intake and discovery. and then kind of your custom game plan, like, hey, what actually needs to get designed across these 3 vectors?
Yeah.
And you get the teams who are, hey, we're 400 people. We've got a lot of this stuff like figured out. We need a ton of technical help on the ClickUp side. Like, we've been in here
Yeah.
for 2 years. We have some things that are working really well. And that's, that's fun for our delivery team. It's like, okay, we can jump right to 301, 401 level stuff, nerding out on the platform. You have the 20-person agency who's like, hey, we've grown a lot. We've never taken the time to go build process. Like,
Yeah.
yes, we need some tech stuff, but to be honest, whether we're in Asana or ClickUp or Mavenlink or, teamwork.com, does not matter. We need to focus on the process side. And so
Yeah. Absolutely.
that's a productized offer that is creates kind of a level ground for everyone jump in the success plan for what actually needs to get built. And then
Okay.
beyond that, that's where the custom element comes in. Okay, here's your custom plan that now needs to get built.
Okay. And that goes right into number 2 then,
Yep.
process.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's pick up there then. So we've done our discovery. We're at the beginning of our blueprint, right? Creating some of the clarity, doing the interviews, doing discovery. What does number 2 look like?
Yeah. So the process. So the first piece, I guess, if I drew this out, the blueprint piece is the success plan across all 3. So across
Okay.
technology, process, and your habits. The second stage in our engagement becomes the implementation phase. So some cases that's us doing the majority of it. Some cases that's us consulting as the agency does the majority of it, depending on the situation and need.
Mhm.
But around processes, what that looks like is in the first phase, we'll have identified and prioritized all the key processes in the business. What's working, what's not working, what needs to change from here.
Yeah.
And then you're into, hey, what do we need in this initial phase of implementation? What do we need down the road? And so leading teams through, how do we actually build those and create, and you've got a difference. You may have a better way. If you do, I'd love to hear how you talk about this. But you've got the process that is what belongs in your internal wiki. It's like
Yeah.
um, it's not a natural part of any project. It's how do we use Slack? What's our out of office policy? What's our it's more like institutional knowledge,
Yeah.
but not specifically related to a task necessarily.
Sure.
And then you've got the other side, which is writing that blog post. And so what's our process for how we do that? We're doing this client onboarding or client offboarding, or we're filling out our bookkeeping, or we're running our one-on-ones or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
those are very much part of your workflow when you're delivering client work. So there's a difference in how those get built then because of that, and where they live / get resourced. They should still all be centralized, but how you find them is going to look a little bit different.
Right.
So anyways, during that implementation phase, that's where you're taking basically that success plan of, okay, here's the priority order, here's who's doing what,
Yeah.
here's what layer of the hierarchy that gets built if it's getting built natively. In our case, in ClickUp, here's what type of template is getting created, and then who's responsible for building that.
Yeah. With my process, we have within Asana, all of the process lives there. All the SOPs live there. So the process, I guess, starts in Lucid. We map it all out there. And then within Asana, we have 2 projects. One of them is called Tech We Use, and the second one is just called Our Processes. And so a piece that we're on Riverside right now, right? So
Yeah.
I'd have Riverside as the platform, how we use it, what it's used for, who would be using that platform. And then within there, we have all of the subtasks within that main task are, how do you access recordings in Riverside? How do you invite a guest to the podcast using Riverside? Whatever that may be. How do you access the archives in Riverside? And so we've got all of those as subtasks. They all get multi-homed in Asana to a third project that we call the SOP index. And so that's broken down by either department and function or by area of the business. So in this case, we use Riverside for the podcast, and that goes under the marketing and strategy header, right? So then we have all of our subtasks that have been rehomed to this larger SOP index.
Yep.
And then the same with the process. What does the sales process look like? How do we deliver our Asana process optimization service. And then that lives as the header. And then those all get broken down into the how-tos. So video recordings and SOPs on how we create a proposal, how we deliver it to the client, how we move it, the sale or the deal through HubSpot. And then those subtasks all get multi-homed to the sales section inside of the SOP index. So now we have this searchable, massive index of everything related to all the software we use and all the high level processes we use. Like, I'm a firm believer, all the people, process, and tools should, and work, should all live in the same place that the work is happening.
Yep.
Right. That includes all of our communication. And so that's what it looks like on our side. And then we'll often set that up for our customers as well. So the question for you is like, so where do these wikis live? Is everything in ClickUp then, or do you have a separate tool that you lean on where those can all be accessed?
Yeah, 90% of the time it's all inside ClickUp. So we're using the docs functionality, which is awesome in ClickUp for some of that wiki style stuff. Situation like tools, you'd have a database of your tools. And then most of the work is going to be inside templates. So we'll have a whole process library. And that is, hey, we're onboarding a client. We've got that entire list ready to just deploy. Remap the due dates as we're doing that, set the assignees, and it's, kind of off to the races in the platform. So yeah, it all lives there. The 10% of the time that it doesn't, it's usually in a third-party knowledge management tool like Guru. And that has some advantages. We've kind of taken this principle of the process should live where the work gets done. And for 90% of an agency team, the delivery team, ClickUp is 100% the place to be, or Asana, or whatever PM tool you're using. For the sales team, that doesn't track as well. They should be living out of HubSpot or Pipedrive or whatever the CRM is. And so the advantage of a Guru is that you can have it pop up, you can have it recognize URLs and kind of pop up in flow across a whole bunch of different platforms, depending on who's using what. So that is starting to grow in the number of teams that we're doing that with. There's still going to be a lot of templates, and like the majority of stuff is still going to be inside the PM, because there's things that you need to have a record of. Hey, did this actually happen or not happen? Where did this go wrong? But some of the how do we do this, the more tactical, more resource oriented stuff, living in Guru has been helpful too.
Okay. Let's talk about number 3, habits. I find this one to be very interesting. I'd love to see what your approach is for adoption, training, getting those habits down, because like I talked about earlier, there's the divide between leadership and the team, right? The team that are boots on the ground doing the work. And so let me ask the question first, and then I'll ask my follow-up. But what does number 3 look like? How do you approach habits?
Yeah. I'll give you the quick bullet points first. I mean, there's 3 main things you need to do. It's like, Marquis, we're going to roll out Asana, and it's going to make your life better because everything's going to live in one place, and you're not going to have to go hunting around. I promise I'm going to keep all my stuff updated in there. It's here's what we're going to get out of this. It's setting a clear vision for what we need. The second part of that conversation has to be, and here's what I need from you because of that. So then we're getting into really specific, here's the rules of engagement. Because of that, our number 1 rule is, if it's not in Asana, it didn't happen. So that means if you want credit for something and I'm hunting for something,
You mean ClickUp?
ClickUp in our case,
Yeah.
Like it's your case, it's Asana. Then that's a sacrifice that you've got to make on your end, is you can't keep putting everything in your sticky note collection because no one else can see that and have access to it. So that's one, is just getting crystal clear with people on, here's why we're doing this. Here's the vision of a better tomorrow that's coming from it. And then here's what I need from you. That second piece, look, if everything's going to live inside ClickUp, I need to teach you how to manage all that. So in your case, in Asana, we need to teach you, here's how you access those SOPs. And so it's got to be the training piece. And when we're working with teams, every single team member is required to go through our agency PM certification, where they learn kind of the orientation of ClickUp, the principles, the rules of engagement that we have, and then exactly how, here's your morning routine. Here's how you set up this view. Here's how you're going to
Right.
customize your notifications so you don't go bonkers on day one.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of all the core stuff they need to know, and then there's a separate kind of bonus, content as they get a little farther on that they'll wind up going through. And then we also run a live training with teams, and it's kind of the review. It's their agency specific stuff, and it's a kind of a test of, hey, did people actually do this or not do this? Did
Mm-hmm.
they checked off that they did it all? They earned their certificate. How much of that was really done? What are the other outstanding questions? So that's kind of the second piece, is the training and enablement, empowerment piece. And the third big piece has to be accountability. So I'd be curious if you found this to be helpful, if you've got the same type of frequency. But we do 4 main cadences: weekly round, or daily spot check, weekly roundup, monthly review, quarterly analysis.
Okay.
Daily and weekly are primarily activity based. Marquis, I went in, we talked about logging our time each day as we're going through tasks, and I found you log 0 time today. Even though you completed your task, that's great. But hey, do you understand how to log time?
Is this
Yes.
you, ZenPilot, talking, or like the business leader that you empowered to like do these spot checks?
Yeah, both. So
Okay. Wow.
we've got a service offering where we'll be a fractional ClickUp champion. We'll come in and make this easy and run this for teams. I think my belief is long term this should go in house. So I think this needs to be an internal person. They have more context. They understand, kind of all the day to day. They're there for 8 hours a day. That's probably better than us being there for 30 minutes or an hour a day.
Yeah.
At the same time, we can get a lot done in an hour a day. So that service offering has gone better. It's extremely highly demanded. I put off doing it for a long time because I was
Yeah.
really hesitant about it. And it's actually worked pretty well. I do still think, and I still will pitch it to everybody, is this is a transitional thing. You don't have
Right.
that person right now. You don't have the bandwidth right now. At some point, we want this to go in house.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it'll be a ClickUp champion, whether it's third party from a ZenPilot type company or it's an in-house person. So that's kind of accountability, and coaching is really like, hey, I'm trying to teach you. You may just not know how to track time or where it goes at the beginning. And that's totally
Right.
normal. Weekly roundup is kind of the summary. Hey, here's the trends from the week. That gets escalated then to the leadership team. But again, it's pretty much activity based. And the monthly and quarterly is really, hey, what do those metrics tell us now?
Mm-hmm.
Who are our most profitable clients and are least profitable? What are our most profitable service lines or least profitable? And so we're really getting into how do we make decisions about, hey, we need to change our pricing model here. We need to fix our process here. Or this person is just getting nothing done on a consistent basis. And we've got to,
Right.
we either need to move them to their zone of genius, or they don't have one that fits with our business and we need to promote them somewhere else.
Right.
So anyways, those are the 3 key things, are kind of the vision and expectations, real hands-on training, and then serious accountability.
Okay. I love that. I want to back up to something you said. I'm really about the people, right? And like how our systems that we create impact the people that are moving through them. So first follow-up question, you mentioned that, you'll kind of set the stage for your customers and kind of describe, hey, we want to help you improve how you work. You're looking to help teams improve quality of life, moving from chaos to clarity. And you said, here's what I need from you. What does the response typically look like or sound like when you get to this stage in the engagement? Are people bought into this? Are they excited? Or is this like pulling teeth and getting them to really change how they work?
90% of people are excited, and then you've got some sticks in the mud. But that didn't used to be the case before doing the agency ops survey, where everybody had a chance to be heard at the beginning. There, and just be aware of what was even happening. There was a lot more surprises.
Yeah.
We're kind of blowing it on, like, all of a sudden, hey, you thought you were going to keep living in Monday.com, and now you're waking up and we're going to ClickUp, and we're just throwing a lot of stuff at people who didn't have a chance to be involved in shaping what it looked like.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one of the benefits of having everyone having to weigh in early on, is you get everybody's thoughts out there, And you
Okay.
also signal to everybody, hey, we're about to go down this road of making these changes and taking this seriously.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the first piece. The second piece is it seems scary. So the training piece, regardless of what system you're going to, like the training piece is pretty important, because that can take, hey, we're introducing a whole new system, we're introducing these new processes. That can take a lot of change and break it down into the kind of step-by-step pieces
Yeah.
that make it more palatable for folks to get on board with. And then there's some element of this too that's just leadership. Like if you paint the picture to everybody of, hey, we've gone from no time tracking to time tracking, and you're going to spend an extra half hour a day, and I expect you to keep doing the same amount of work, and
Yeah.
I'm going to still fly by the seat of the pants in terms of how I make decisions around staffing. If what you share as the vision isn't an exciting vision, like that's not a great move from a leadership perspective. So you also have to step
Yeah.
up and be a good leader.
Right. No, I totally get that. And I communicated this to my team a couple weeks ago, but and the reason why I'm asking the question of like how they take this or what the response is like to I need this from you. I'm also happy and surprised to hear that 90% of people are excited by it, right? Because when it all comes down to it, right, as team members, when we strip away all of the corporate jargon and lingo and KPI this and, accountability that, we're really all just people that choose to go to a certain place every single day to work and give of their time. And all we want to do is have it be as stress-free as possible. We want to understand our work. We want there to be clear communication, and we want to know what's required of us. That's all we all want. Right. And so, yes, we introduce a new tool like ClickUp, right? We're moving again. And oftentimes the problem has been that leaders will just switch tools, you know, anytime that they want to, or they feel like they don't like it anymore, something's not working. And so before we get to thinking about what the process needs to look like and how the process needs to change, we think just throw another tool at it.
Yep.
I would love to know um, in your engagements, has there ever been a time where you've gone through and done your discovery, looked at, technology and tried to create some clarity, looked at process and determined, hey, you don't actually need a new tool. You don't need ClickUp. Let's just help you document process and get your people bought into that. Has that ever existed for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, actually we've got a number of situations where that's come up. I'd say more commonly the upsides. So because we're so specialized in agencies and we bring a ton of process templates to the table and like pre-built training, there's a lot of things that you can tap into with working with us. There are a number of situations where they're on a tool that could do everything just fine right now, but they won't lose anything by going to ClickUp or, but the benefit, it's not primarily a tool thing. It's primarily an ability to work with ZenPilot team.
Mm-hmm.
And so that happens sometimes. And in a lot of those cases, it's, hey, you got to address this thing first, whether that's
Yeah.
a staffing issue or a pricing issue or a packaging issue that needs to get addressed first. And then we'll work with them, but they'll still make the move for the benefit of getting to work with us. There've been
Yeah.
other cases though where specific functionality that was really important to them was either in the current tool or recommend a different tool for the job. So
Okay.
that's happened. Probably teamwork.com is the most common platform where that's happened, where teams are in it. They're not kind of getting everything out of it that they should be getting out of it. But for the specific reasons they move to it,
That's
it's
because it's
still the right
unnecessarily
tool.
complicated.
What's that?
That's because it's unnecessarily complicated. Like I used to use it. I'm thinking
Yeah.
we had to move off of it at one point because I'm like, what is happening here? Why do we need all anyway, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
bash them. I'm sure they have their reasons and there are experts out there that would think that I'm crazy for thinking it's
Sure.
complicated. But
Yeah.
anyhow, back to what you're saying.
Well, I think that, so that's the common scenario. You've got like the extremely simple, the
Hmm.
Trellos and the base camps.
Yeah.
They thrive, but and most teams outgrow them as soon as they need kind of a, hey, I need a high level view of what's going on across all my clients and
Right.
projects. And then you've got the supremely complex, the like more the Excelos and the Maven Links and
Hmm.
Rikes and those types of platforms. And then you've got, and Teamwork is on that end of the spectrum. And then you've got the Mondays, Notions, ClickUps, Asanas that are like, hey, we're general PM, and they do it super nicely. Well, Notion is like moving into that direction. But it's popular because it's really flexible. You can make it do a lot of different things, and it can be relatively simple out of the box. But yeah, that's it. So anyways, that's a long way of answering your question of, hey, there are cases where it's either you shouldn't switch at all, or you should switch, but ClickUp's not the right tool.
Yeah.
Or you absolutely should switch. Here's the benefits of it, but you need to go fix this thing first. And we didn't
Right.
used to have that kind of broken out blueprint phase. And
Hmm.
so that has really helped us be able to serve a lot of teams who are totally fine if you're on another platform and you're not sure whether to make the switch or not.
Yeah.
We can still help you build a success plan. So
Awesome. There was a story on your about page of one of your early versions of the ZenPilot website. I can't recall at this point if it was you who the story was about or if it was Andrew. But one of you was on a vacation with your family and you had to like go and take a bunch of phone calls and you were away from your family and you regret that to this day. Who was that?
yeah, Andrew.
That was Andrew.
Yeah.
Okay. I know we all have a story like that though,
Yeah.
right? Like where you
100%.
try and get away from the work so you can enjoy life because you created this business so you can experience some sort of freedom. And that looks different for a lot of people. Um, that story, like I read it, and obviously that's why you used it in your copy, is because
Yeah.
people resonate with it. So for you then, because that was Andrew's story, what has been like the biggest learning so far in your entrepreneurial journey working with ClickUp, the agencies that you have, what, 2,700 plus agencies now? What's been the
Yeah.
biggest learning and takeaway that I guess you could leave your ideal client with today in the form of a message?
Yeah. If I could cheat and say two different things, the first one is you kind of raised your eyebrows virtually at like, are so many people that um, have a positive reaction to
Mhm.
switching tools or having more structure.
Yeah.
And I think it looks different. I think when we work with enterprise, like LegalZoom, might be kind of a smaller example of the same type of thing, but you work with enterprise clients and they're saying, no, I hate all this BS structure that we have and these things that we have to do.
Yeah.
And so that would be, I don't think we would have as many people excited. In the
Mhm.
agency and the SMB space that we're swimming in, these teams of, 10 to 200 people,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, please, could somebody put some structure in around this thing? Like, this is
Right.
just the willy-nilly factory here. Like we show up in, whatever flavor of the week it is, that's what we have to
Yeah.
get in line with.
Totally.
Um, and so I think you've probably had the same experience. Like I got into this because the agency owners who we're serving are me. Like that's me and our first business. Don't know what they're
Mhm.
doing, making this up as we go along, like trying to do our best. It's not bad intentions. It's just poor system design and lack of experience. And we could bring that and help them treat their people better, but also create uh, just a system with a lot less chaos and empower their people to produce results so that they're not going on vacation and spending the entire thing on their phone.
Yeah.
And the more that we've gone into it, the more my passion has also developed for the end users who are just subject to all this chaos that's
Great.
unintentionally inflicted on them.
Hmm.
So, um, out of that, the the big theme is clarity is kindness. Like that's the one takeaway that I would try to share with everyone. I just went to the EOS conference.
Oh, good.
The Entrepreneurial Operating System is EOS, and they run an annual conference. I was at that conference last month, and that was the common theme of everyone's kind of break. I kept asking people, what's been the breakthrough, the most impactful moment for you with EOS, and it kept coming back to, hey, this really simple set of tools has helped me just be clear with the team about what I actually expect from them
Yeah.
and where they stand. And so I think that's been the most helpful thing in our business. And with so many of our customers has just been, let's get an accurate picture of where things stand today, who's performing well, who's not, which clients are making money, which ones aren't, what service lines should we actually keep, and what should we sell more of, and what should we cut. And then let's just have those honest conversations with our team. And if people have that data and they understand where you're trying to go, they will pitch in. I mean, there's cases for sure where they're like, oh, no, this is not part of my picture and what I want to be a part of. So I'm going to leave, which you'd much rather know early. So just knowing ourselves enough to know what we actually want, getting clarity for ourselves, and then sharing that clarity with our team has been incredibly impactful.
So good. Clarity is kindness. I got that circled here. That's such a great point. Gray, thank you so much for being here and agreeing to do this chat. It's been a lot of fun. Where's the best place? I mean, we can go to zenpilot.com. Where's the best place, though, aside from that you would send people to hear about what you got going on, or are there any learning resources you can share? Yeah.
The 2 places or 3 places I always send people, LinkedIn is easy. So LinkedIn, if you look for Gray MacKenzie, there's not too many of us on there. So I'm easy to find there. Zenpilot.com/call. If folks want to chat directly with us and just have a kind of pressure-free, like dig into, hey, where are your ops today? And then how do we map out like what things could and should look like? Is for the 2% of people listening who are like, hey, I can use help now. But the place that everyone else should go is zenpilot.com, the website, and look under the resources tab in the header. And there's a bunch of things up there. So if you're looking at ClickUp, there's ClickUp guides that are helpful. But if you're looking for help on the process side, there's this AI powered process building tool that we've built out. It's free. To go grab, and there's a bunch of other resources kind of along those lines.
What's that called?
It's actually, you know what? I don't know off the top of my head what the link is,
Okay.
But it's an AI powered process builder. So a ton of folks get stuck on like, oh my goodness, I have so many processes to go build.
Yeah.
The quality of this stuff, you do not want to go live with these AI powered processes. You want to actually look at this stuff and say, hey, are we doing the right thing, or are we adding in 8 steps just because AI told us to do it?
Yeah.
But for getting rid of the curse of the blank page, it's been a really helpful resource for teams.
Oh, good. Man, should have led with that. So good.
You should have said AI to get all the clicks, right?
No kidding. I'll just put AI in the title of the podcast.
That's right. We'll be all set.
They have no idea when it will come in. Anyways, I'd love to know more about that. If you do get the link, send it off to me. I'll put it in the show notes.
I'm sending it to you right now. It's zenpilot.com, and then all these are hyphenated about AI powered process builder. So I'll put that in the chat here too.
Beautiful. Again, can't thank you enough for your time. I'm glad I finally came clean on my intentions from 5 years ago. But thanks for your grace, and for a great chat, which was good. We'll definitely have a part 2 at some point and come back when we hear more about what AI is doing in your business. Thanks, Gray.
Awesome. Thanks, Marquis.